Welcome, everybody, to the show. Tonight, we're going to have a bit of a debriefing for the SDHist East event that happened in August at the Naval War College in Rhode Island, and a little bit of a preview of the SD West event. I know that none of this is Harold's preferred terminology. That will be happening in early November, and I'd like to welcome our three very special guests. We have Kai Jensen. She is with GMT as their production manager or coordinator. We have Mr. Harold, of course, who needs no introduction, and Mr. Mark Herman, who requires even less of an introduction than Harold. So thank all of you for coming out tonight.
Great to be here, Gary. Thanks for providing us this venue to talk about ourselves. We very much enjoy that. With the exception of Kai, I know Mark likes to talk about himself a great deal.
I thought we were talking about SDHistCon. Now you're getting all mean in there. I don't understand what's going on.
and by the way, Kai and Mark are on the board of advisors of SDHist.
Awesome. And is there a big secret meeting in a smoke-filled room at the actual convention?
Smoke.
No smoke? Oh, well,
I figured tell you about it if there was.
They were probably non-smoking before we were in Ohio. Actually, Columbus, Ohio was non-smoking very early indoors. But anyway, Harold, kick us off here by telling us what's going on overall with SDHist.
So there's a good deal to cover. We've got, first of all, we had the August convention at the Navy War College Museum, which was fantastic. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that in detail. Kai and Mark were both there. And we just had a fantastic event, fantastic visit. Just, again, the second year, but really exceeded our expectations. There's Sal Vasta, who showed up.
Who I saw and vaguely waved at from across the room at WBC, I think. I think it was Sal.
I had never really spent any time with him, and what a fantastic guy. So
he's a sweetheart.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing him again. Then, of course, after this, we're preparing for the November convention in San Diego, which I think Kai and Mark will also join us. And you're going to join us there. Is that right, Gary?
That is the plan. I just said in the pre-show that, before the show in our little debriefing, that my tickets are getting bought this week. So
excellent.
Once that happens, the button has been pushed and it's official.
Good. Well, I like that. And, we'll get you addicted. This is the crack cocaine that will keep you coming back for more. So we hope to see you there.
I don't have a point of reference there, but okay, I get it. It's addicting. I got that. Okay.
Hey, you keep coming, Mark. So that's a good sign.
I will keep coming. I have no life other than you, Harold. What am I going to do with myself?
I appreciate that. And then we have the Summit Award, which is kind of kicking off right now as we speak. I actually saw some links up on social media, and I know you'll help us with that, Gary, and get the word out. But we're changing the Summit Award around a little bit, opening up nominations, that sort of thing, which happy to go into in more detail. But very busy time at SDHist.
So great. That sounds great. So I want to. I'll put the slideshow back up. Harold was kind enough to send me a big slideshow.
Oh, a slideshow
that I keep having to fix. Because StreamYard seems, if this is totally my fault, this is not even StreamYard's fault. But we got a whole pile of slides. Now, these are all from the event in Rhode Island, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we got some cool stuff here. Are you guys like underground?
It's a museum, and there are windows that look out on the world, but they're usually got exhibits and things in front of them in many cases. So you're indoors, but it's a museum.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing rumors, Mark, that some of your work is, in fact, exhibited in that museum.
It was a shocker to me last year, and I was more shocked that they still had it there.
It was cool.
It's actually, if you can see behind my neck there, which I know is hard to see.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's right there.
There's Mark, maybe you can tell us the story, but there's a map in a case. We were trying to get him to put Mark in the glass case, and they said not yet.
Oh, that is so mean. I don't know is this a California thing?
Mark, you're destined for Madame Tussauds, I'm sure. In the
I'm sure it is. Yeah. Anyway, so do you want to? You want me to tell you how it got in the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in 1981, I came back from working for the BDM Corporation in Washington, back to SPI for a second round. and the purpose was to. So Dunnigan had gotten a contract with the Secretary of Defense for basically a manual World War III game, called the Strategic Analysis Simulation. That was in the contract, and Brad Hessel, who was the head of R&D, and at this point, Dunnigan has been. He's gone. I don't know what the circumstances. I mean, it was like there was a little bit of a palace coup thing I think happened. Hard feelings still felt, and I wasn't there then. And Brad brought me back to. They were having trouble with the contract, so I got back there, and Carol was very happy to move back to New York, and so it was kind of cool, and coming home, and they had spent basically 3/4 of the money. The delivery date was coming, and nobody had done much. And so my job was to finish this game and deliver it to the Pentagon. And, I worked a lot of hours and I got it done on budget and time, and we delivered it very successfully. And it was actually used for, better part of a decade in this kind of area, manual World War III kind of exercises, most notably at the National Defense University. We once ran 26 of these simultaneously with field phones. It was hysterical. But anyway, so fast forward, I come to, and they obviously had maps and pieces and rules and all that. And I get to the museum, and I'm walking around and say, "We have something there." Oh, look at this, Mark McLaughlin. Oh, how you, Mark? I love Mark. He's the best. And as you can see, we're very old friends. And anyway,
we got that.
And we said, "Come on over here, take a look at it." I go, "Wait a minute, what's that doing here?" And it's the map, and there's a placard. That incorrect, it's fine. And I gave them, and when I heard about it, I gave them a set of the rules. They didn't have the rules to the game. I had an extra set. I gave them the actual rules to the game. So they had the map, the game, and the rules. So, not that anybody's going to be playing it anytime soon, but at least it's in a museum. So, and they kept it as an exhibit. So it was kind of a shock, but it's nice. I'm in a museum, and it's not me in a glass case, by the way, Harold, as you would want. So it's all good.
Well, that is awesome. Was this the one where the map looked like it was drawn in colored pencil, obviously an early draft map, and it's like a global projection from a polar projection?
Yeah, so
that's a cool map too.
Well, you got to remember something. The thing I was teaching them, remember when I got there, was nothing. But when you're doing World War III, what do you think about first in World War III? Is they're going to shoot lots of nuclear missiles at each other and kill everybody, which is pretty much how the games always go. And but they don't shoot the missiles around the globe. They shoot them over the top. And you really, and the whole point of the thing is the Soviet Union and the United States are like next to each other. Nobody really thinks about it that way. So, and if you go if you fly from the East Coast to Korea or Japan, you go over the pole. That's the short distance. That's why they're always looking for the Northwest Passage. And if there was any benefit to this, this global warming thing where, climate change and all this nastiness we're going through, is that you can now start to sail ships through there again, which is much shorter path from A to Z in many cases. So, but anyway, so by using that, and remember the world, I posted this the other day, the world is a sphere. NASA checked, I saw that. So it really is a sphere. It's not flat. And so when you peel an orange from the bottom, right, you take an orange and you peel it up like that, and this is the top of the orange, the North Pole, well, it has this weird, thing. I'm very big on equal area maps, by the way.
It's a cool. Me too. I'm having trouble finding the ones that I actually need, and don't know the software to generate them myself.
Well, there's like this one happens to be something called a Buckminster Filter map projection.
Yeah.
You got to get a book. And by the way, this is what libraries are for. You go find a reference book on cartography, and they have all the different projections that have been used, and there's a whole set of equal area ones that exist. The problem you have is you're taking a sphere and you're flattening it, right? And if you use a Mercator, the biggest, like if you're doing a Pacific game, when you do a Mercator, every time you go north or south in latitude, you change the scale. Longitude doesn't have that problem, but up and down does. And so like in the old war in the Pacific that SPI did, like when you cross this line, all of a sudden the scale changed. But of course, the scale doesn't change that. It's a sphere. It doesn't change instantaneously, but that's how, so there's also the little jumping around tricks and stupidity about that. So I just always go for equal area maps anyway. Anyway, we're going to talk about conventions now.
Makes a lot of sense to me. So Kai, this was your first year at this event. So
It was.
what were your thoughts, and how cool was it to be in the Naval War College Museum?
It was very cool. I went on every tour I could get myself scheduled for. So I probably spent as much time on tours as I did around the games. But that was fabulous. It's a great site. I just tons of history. I've only been on the East Coast a couple times. So there's just a different sense of time to me on the East Coast because stuff just seems so much older. I'm in California. You know, if something's 100 years old out here, we're all impressed. And, you know, East Coast is like, oh, 100 years, that's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We love you too, Dan.
Everybody loves Dan, even Jeff Beeler.
So
Fellow
even
Canadians.
Going into the museum, you know, and knowing that used to be the old widows and orphans home that then became the college that they then rapidly outgrew and stuff, getting all that history of all those buildings and getting to walk around the campus was phenomenal. If you get a chance to go, Pete Pellegrino is a fabulous tour guide, gave us just a wealth of information and kept us moving pretty briskly the whole time in order to cover it all. But yeah, just a wealth of really fascinating information and getting to walk on the floor space where it's all gridded tiles and stuff. And you're actually walking on where they were shoving the pieces around and playing stuff out. It was really kind of cool.
You know, that room you're talking about, Kai, I spent literally a year I spent over 50 weeks at the War College doing various jobs back across my career. And one day I had gone swimming at the pool and it was late and I had to get back to work. And I said to somebody, you know, we're going to get some food. And they go, well, there's a vending machine hall over there, you know, and so I go walking over to this place and I go in and it's got a bunch of vending machines and I'm getting the vending machine and looking around and I'm going, wow, that gallery up there looks really familiar. And I look at the tiles and I'm in the room. Now they fixed it up since this is a long time ago. They've now made it really nice. But I go like, holy cow, this is where Playing Orange was played out for like, you know, decades. And while I'm getting my, my little potato chips or whatever the hell I was buying. But it was just a crazy place it's got crazy things going on there.
That sounds like you got to get a game of Jutland going on that floor.
Oh, yeah. They were basically fighting Jutland on that floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they still have signs on the walls that says, you know, you're not allowed to discuss secret information in this room and stuff just because I guess the acoustics and everything, because you can hear the conversations everywhere. And so they still have those signs on the walls as you walk around.
But everybody's got a security clearance anyway, so it's probably okay.
Yeah, but there are different levels of security because
it's a modest security clearance.
Yeah, there were 2 buildings they told us like, yeah, nobody gets in those buildings. So
that's where I used to work.
That's why nobody's allowed in them anymore because
that's right. I totally reckon
because there has been too much awesome in that space, and if Kai brings additional awesome, then there might be an explosion.
We're just
one of the nice things about the War College, it has a really robust classified library there. I mean, you obviously have to have clearance to get into it, but there's some really cool stuff in there that I used to use.
That he can't tell us about.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. I want to actually go through the slideshow, and I'll let whoever would like to narrate, but there's some great slides in here. Here, of course, we've already seen Sal and Hardold, and here's Hardold and Mark. With Mark in this case has human size.
That's not Hardold. That's Mark McLaughlin.
What did I say?
You said Hardold.
Hardold? No, this is Mark. This is the Marks. Mark Herman and Mark McLaughlin. Sorry,
the Marks.
He was playing his Rebel Raiders game. You know, the Civil War.
Yeah, Rebel Raiders on the High Seas.
Yeah.
So he did
right there. You see in the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
He did a nice teach, and then people brought a game. He had a couple games there, and then he would set it up, and they could play along, and he'd be available for questions. He was wonderful. You know, just another guy that, like Mark and Kai and Sal and so many people at the convention, just a real joy to hang out with. He was a blast.
Yeah,
I'll tell you more about Mark in a minute.
And the game's good too. Kai put in a word for the folks for this game to get a reprint on the P500. Rebel Raiders on the High Seas. I see this played at a lot of conventions. It's pretty popular.
It just sold out like 2 weeks ago, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought it'd been out of print for years. I guess it does.
This is a new. They actually shipped this the last few. This is Chip Saltzman, who as you know, Gary, heavily involved with OCS and the good work at MMP.
Mm-hmm.
And he came, and another delightful guy. We just had a wonderful
Chip is
time
amazing.
talking and spending time together. But he put on this great teach,
Mm-hmm.
and look at his aids, right, for the classroom.
Yeah. Plus, he's got that resonant baritone voice too. It's
Yes.
fantastic. He's great on camera.
Yeah, and so he went through OCS, and then a bunch of people played OCS games of their choice as they brought along, or that he provided, and
I don't
we
see
just had a
Case
great
Blue in
time.
this
He's
picture. Harold.
hopefully coming to San Diego as well.
That would be
Gary,
awesome.
To your earlier point, you could see the windows there, but they have the shades down.
Yeah. Yes. But So next up, what do we got going on here?
Well,
So I
that's
think
Chip
this is
Engelstein, obviously.
Crisis 1914, I think.
that
Oh
looks
yeah,
awesome.
that's right. They were playing Crisis 1914 there.
Maurice Suckling's new game, as I recall.
Yeah, and by the way, Maurice is coming to SDHist, and
Sweet.
we're talking about, he's going to run several events. He's almost promised. I've asked, and he's almost agreed. But Jeff Engelstein there facing us on the back side of the table, perhaps. Well, actually, as of this year, the second biggest celebrity we've ever had. We'll talk more about the biggest celeb.
Well, a lot of you fellas are writing books. I'm not, I'm just saying. Jeff had a book released a couple years ago, and that wasn't his
like
first.
5
Maurice had a book released, or is it about
Just
to?
published like 6 books, so
Yeah.
he's way ahead of all of us.
Well, Mark, you got to catch up to him. That's all
I
I got
don't
to
have
say.
to do anything of the sort.
Yeah,
You certainly don't.
Gary, I just got Maurice's book, and it's
It
it's
looks
a
great.
tome. It's a beast, and it's excellent. I'm very excited to get through it. And of course, first thing I did was look to see if I was mentioned anywhere, and he had one quote, which I appreciate. But it's excellent. I was excited to get it, and he
That's
is coming
fantastic.
to SDHist, so we'll see him there.
Awesome. Maybe I'll get the book in advance and have him sign it while I'm there.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a signature as well.
Mark, I'm just saying you might be asked as well.
Oh,
If it's there by then.
People have been asking me to sign their rule books and their boxes for a long time, and I always say yes. I'm always amazed that they want to lower the collector quality of the game by my signature, but okay.
Well, you never know. You never know. What do we got going on here, Harold?
So they're playing Coral Sea in minis.
Oh yeah.
And it was pretty cool. The best part, I wish. Well, I'm glad I didn't. I wanted to take a video at the moment this was happening, because the GM and Mark McLaughlin were having a heated debate over the result of a move. And it was good fun to watch, but I'm just glad I wasn't a part of it.
And by the way, just for obviously you see all the planes where they're arguing, right? If you look at the other end of the table, that's where the ships are that they're trying to attack. At the far end of the table, you could see vaguely the ships. That's what they're trying to get to. I was watching it for a while. It's Coral Sea, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Looking at this picture is what has given me this rash, however. So
Yeah.
there's that.
So sorry about that. Back one more. There's one other guy there that I want to point out. So Paul Weber is the gentleman on the right with his back to us for the most part. Paul works on base and runs some very interesting simulations. And at each of the last 2 cons in Newport, he's run simulations that they use on the base that are deep, detailed, kind of World War III Pacific simulations, and really interesting stuff, and just a great.
Yeah,
great
he works there is an actual wargaming center there. That's where I used to work, and it's on base, and it's got it's a nice facility for it's got all the things you need to run multi-room war games and all that stuff.
Cool. And I guess we got Volko here playing.
Verdun
is okay. I was going to say this doesn't look like great work, Commander.
No. Volko and I are both fans of this game, and anytime somebody says and also Volko is working on a World War I version of his Coast Watchers for Verdun, so I think there's some connection to that in this picture. I'm not sure where.
We'll see it in one of these pictures.
Okay.
It's coming up.
Okay, cool. I recognize this map, I think.
Yeah, so this is Dan's prototype of a game he's working on, and it's what's it called? United Fruit in Latin America.
The Banana Wars game, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting game. Very,
super intriguing.
yeah. So Sal and Chip,
That's playing Red Strike, obviously.
yeah.
Are these tables rated to hold that box though?
No, it was probably a little bit of a danger zone there, but you know,
It's 50-50.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Harold.
So we got
Logo's doing Coast Watchers here. This is Coast Watchers.
very good. Okay, cool, great. Oh, look at this.
So this is Rob, the curator of the museum, and he's also a developer and a big player of Battles of the American Revolution. And this is his monster Battle of Rhode Island set. And so he taught the game, and then we probably had 4 or 5 different games pop up with people playing it following his lecture. But Rob was great. So Rob's really one of the driving forces between how we make this happen. He's a war gamer, but he's the curator of the museum. So and from the perspective of the War College and the museum, this is a wonderful outreach from the museum to hobbyists and linking the hobbyists directly with war games and the college. And Rob is a critical part of making all that happen.
If I could point out, by the way, you'll see in the background, the museum is got a whole lot of beautiful, really well done ship models, as you can see in the background. I don't know which one that is, but they're all over the place. You can sit there and stare at them for an hour. They're so good looking.
Oh, I would absolutely do that. So who do we got here, Harold?
So Kai mentioned Pete Pellegrino, who's a long-time hobbyist, but also been in the military for a long time, and then has worked in running the Wargaming Center at the War College. And so he is a wonderful connection for us. He gives the tour. There are really 5 tours that were available. One was there's a World War II museum. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. I think you've got some pictures. We toured Fort Adams. Some people toured the battleship Massachusetts, which has an interesting history. And then once we got to the convention, Rob Doan, the curator of the museum, gave little tours of the museum itself, and which were wonderful. And he would take questions. His depth of knowledge is incredible. And then Pete Pellegrino gives the tour of the facilities, and of course we start with the museum. But the museum was the first building on the War College when it was formed, and then it expanded to other buildings, and then this became the museum itself. Okay,
and I have to ask, Harold, what is your skincare regimen? Because you're positively glowing in this picture.
Yeah, it's I can't talk about it.
Okay,
he was running up against Secret Servicemen. That's what it was.
The rest of our security clearances are not high enough for Harold to talk about it.
It's a high sugar, high fat diet and a lot of beer.
That's fair.
That's
fair. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this was at Fort Adams. The guy sent us down these tunnels inside Fort Adams that were creepy. Kai, you were in there with us, right? And I can't even believe we made it out. And when we made it out, he said, "Okay, you're tunnel rats. You get a sticker."
Oh, that's cool.
That sounds kind of cool.
Short,
these would be the tunnels, I assume.
This is the forgiving part of the tunnels with light, and you can stand up straight. By the end of the tunnels, it was one by one, and you couldn't see anything, and you were almost crawling to get out. It was crazy.
They were short. My shoulders were rubbing both sides of the walls. I had to turn sideways or turn back were my choices.
I will never take that tour.
I bailed.
Well, I didn't really want to, and I just somehow ended up in the middle of the tunnel. The Fort Adams is there in Newport, Rhode Island, and it's the largest fort. Rob Doan says the largest fort east of the Mississippi in the United States. The guy that gave us the tour, who has less credibility than Rob Doan, said the largest in the United States. But if you took any of a number of forts that we've heard of, Fort Sumter, Saratoga, all of those, they would fit all together piecemeal inside the footprint of this beast. It is huge. And it was built by a lot of federal funding that came out of basically the War of 1812, where the British kind of had their way with our cities. And you can just see a perfect, government response to the last crisis as opposed to the next. And it really is an incredible facility that has been a military base for a long time, and now is just a national park. More of the same in between the revetments. And I say revetments, but I don't know if I'm using that term right or even.
I think you're doing okay.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
I got to unmute myself. When was this facility built? I assume this predates the Revolution.
No, it was built after the War of 1812.
Okay.
So work started in 1818 or 1820.
Think about the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Fort McHenry was the successful model that all these were built on the guard. If you don't have to go back, but if you go back to an earlier photo, there on the wall there was a map on the wall to the right. That was actually the map of Newport, and I believe Fort Adams is somewhere in that, opening to the harbor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'd imagine the answer to this is yes, certainly for Fort Adams, but you might need that security clearance to go into the museum.
Yeah, the museum's on the base, so you need security clearance. You can get it. You don't have to be part of the convention, but we'd like you to be part of the convention. And then, Fort Adams is open. The World War II Museum is open to the public. And then also the Battleship Massachusetts is open to the public.
Yeah, it's in Battleship Cove, right by the bridge there, right?
They're short drives from Newport, yes.
This sounds, all sounds very wargaming friendly to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of Revolutionary War history in this area, obviously. Oh, there's Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And Harold.
Oh, that's
and,
what that is.
And
okay,
Harold,
thanks.
and some more structures behind us here.
We had a big group. Of course, there's Volko and Pratik and Jeff. Volko, of course, on our advisory board. Pratik and Jeff on our board. It was great. We had a group of almost 20 people, I think, that toured Fort Adams, and we had a guide, and he just did a phenomenal job. We had a wonderful time, and it's just part of the fellowship, and you kind of carry this stuff in from the field into the war game room. This is more of the tour.
Mm-hmm. This looks really neat.
Everywhere, yeah.
I got to tell you. So
yeah, it's awesome. I highly recommend it. More
cannons. Can't have too many cannons, can you?
Yeah, they said that during World War II, the cannons were generally melted down. The cannons that they dug out of the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the World War II museum. It's Andrew Buchholz and Volko doing whatever it is you do with those masks on your eyes. I was able to take pictures of them while they weren't looking, which I enjoyed. Probably
I assume it involves vertigo.
My kids got me one of these sets. I was playing this game called Skyrim. After about 20 minutes, I get nauseous. So,
I've tried that. Yeah, I got nauseous in about 20 minutes too. You're not the only one. So, cool game. In VR, you'll get nauseous after 20 minutes. Oh, this would be your World War II museum, obviously.
Yeah,
it is. It's it's a U.S. collector of World War II memorabilia, and it's in this odd building. Takes up most of a floor in this building, not all of it, and it's just thick with memorabilia and items from Europe. Right? It's not just U.S. stuff, and it's extraordinary.
Oh, good. I'm glad that Nazi symbolism from America. I'm happy.
Well, that's in true America too. Now. But that can't be the last picture. Is that the last picture?
I think it probably is the last in the museum.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I'd rather see this stuff in a museum than in somebody's attic. So that might be even creepier. But yeah, this looks awesome. So, I mean, I would assume that you'll be repeating this event next year and the year after, right?
Yeah, as it relates to reaching their goal of some public outreach, I think they're very happy. And if you look in that folder again, Gary, you can probably find a picture of the big surprise guest. My buddy Carlos, who is the Secretary of the Navy.
Oh yeah.
Who I ran into at my hotel, and I said, "Hey, how about joining us? I know you're going to be on base for a ceremony." why don't you come join us at the War College and see what we're doing? And he said he would, but I never thought he would show up. And then all of a sudden, there he is. And
Secretary of the Navy's here to supervise your naval wargaming.
yeah, so
how awesome is that?
We take a great deal of pride in the fact that we have a high density of designers and developers to the attendees at the convention, right? And all of our conventions are that way. We love it, and we work to create that. Imagine now we have the Secretary of the Navy. Top that, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, I was going to ask how the turnout was, but A, I know you sell the thing out, and B, are you limited in like capacity just by the nature of the site?
Yes. Yeah, we're limited in capacity by the site. We get about 70 to 75 attendees that cycle in and out, and that's about all we really want to put in the event. And it's not about size, right? It's about experience. And I wish it were available to more people. Sign up earlier if you want to be there. We provide some scholarship too. If people can't afford to be there, we try to help. But our online conventions are certainly very accessible, but this one's a little bit tougher. It's also tough because it's expensive to stay in Newport. It's expensive to get to Newport. And, that makes it hard. I don't know if we would have a 200-person turnout if we had a bigger venue, but part of the joy, and I think Kai and Mark would agree, is just being inside the museum amongst the pieces of history.
I mean, this is a perk that I certainly can't think that any other wargaming conventions in the United States are providing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just a fortunate result of the networking. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Well, long ago, when I was running, when I was at SPI, there was a very active West Point wargame club that used to playtest our games, and they had a yearly convention there. So that had that kind of, but we weren't in a museum. We were in like one of the halls somewhere. But it was great fun. Remember Carol? I used to take Carol with me because if I had to go do something, somebody had to watch the booth, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Harold, I think we asked this last time we talked, but
yes,
foreign nationals try to get attendance. I think they have like an extra form to fill out or something.
I think it's I'm not acquainted because I'm not a foreign national, but I understand that it is slightly more, but it happens and it's frequent. Mm-hmm. And the block generally is
passport probably matters.
What's that?
We like Canadians. If it was like Russia, it might be a little harder to sell. Iran, there's a couple that may not go down so well.
Yeah, we'll cross those bridges.
Jeff, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I think
probably.
Jeff, I think we'd get you in, Jeff. The thing that holds people up is either not filling out their form on time, which can be a problem, or a felony will keep you out, and that's really about it. They're not looking for.
They just want to know. Remember, what happens is when you get on. So when you drive onto the base, you have to go through like a shore patrol guard. Your name's on the list. The form is like a standard, social security number kind of thing. Driver's license, etc. And then from the gate to the museum is, I don't know, is it a 3-minute drive by car? And the War College is just beyond it. So you don't actually go to the War College unless you're on a tour. So you just pull right into the museum and you're there. So you're not going very far onto the base, and you're certainly not going into the depths of the base where they do a lot of training. And because it's in August, you're just starting to see the next class showing up. Mm-hmm. Especially the foreign nationals start showing up a little bit early usually.
Mm-hmm. So before we move on to the November event, what did we not see in the pictures that was cool? That
I didn't see Rebel Theory or Empire of the Sun, Harold. I'm a little disappointed.
Oh,
well, I sent it. I definitely sent it. If it didn't show up, it's because of Gary.
I didn't delete anything out of the folder. Maybe I didn't actually pull everything down. That's possible because I'm confused by technology, as you know.
Yeah, Mark and Kai, what did we miss?
Coast Watchers.
Yeah, well, no, there's a picture of
we got one Coast Watchers
sitting next to Volko playing Coast Watchers. There was one picture of that.
Okay.
Anyway, I ran a very fun Rebel Fury event. We think we had 8 players. So we ran 4 games, and because of Kai's generosity, pretty much everybody got a free game who didn't have it. So that was fun.
Cool.
And then I ran where you saw the picture of Rob, that space where Rob Doan was running his, I guess, Newport game, that big Newport game. On Saturday that afternoon, I ran a big Empire of the Sun teach and play on that exact location. And it was, I got to tell you, it was so much fun. I just, my teacher plays, I just started playing, and there's enough people who know. So I think there was 2 or 3 guys. I had about 10 people, which, by the way, at a convention of 70 people is 1/7 of the convention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it was good time.
I'm just going to point out too that we talk about bigger events like Origins, Gen Con, and even like WBC, and you hear these big attendance numbers like 15 or 1,800 or whatever WBC is, and the thousands of people that go to Origins.
30,000 for Gen Con, right?
Gen Con, easily. Yeah, I think it might be 50 now. It's absolutely crazy. But these are all like broad conventions that are aimed at a broad audience, playing a lot of different kind of things. In a wargaming specific convention, it can feel super full and very active with 30 people.
Oh yeah.
So
which is kind of, as I follow your various posts, like when you walk around, like, when you go to like a Buckeye Fest or something, there's not a million people there playing, but they're all playing, have a good time playing big war games.
Yep, exactly right. So, and that's part of the reason I do that stuff, is so people can see that people are having fun. I never felt like at a small event like that's hopping, but it's like it's a wargaming event and that's what's going on. I've never felt like, boy, we really need more people here. So,
well, I hold regular playtest sessions at my house in the space that I'm sitting in right now, and I get like 12 people here, and it's nice. There's a big space, so it's fun. But it's got like a little mini convention. It's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So all I'm saying is, bigger's great and all that.
You're invited anytime you're on the East Coast to come.
I appreciate that.
And Harold, you too also.
So I'm going west first, though. So
yeah, no, I'm going to go west.
Gary, the thing for us is we're a not-for-profit. We're not trying to make a profit. We're not trying to add heads. The real question is
anybody trying to make a profit in this business?
Well,
I mean, I want to see my rent.
I mean, yeah, but
at least we admit that we're not trying to make a profit, right? But for us, it's fun, right? If it's fun, if we have the right mix, and
Thanks,
as I said, we fight hard
that.
to get the right mix of density. And if we have the right mix of people and a number of people from the public to add to that, then we're really happy. And so we're not looking for a bigger venue. We're looking for the most excellent venue.
Well, I gotta tell you, playing Empire of the Sun with a torpedo next to you. I mean, not a toy torpedo, but a real torpedo, is kind of cool.
It was probably disarmed.
Oh, I guarantee there's no warhead in it, but it's, you can see like they have a torpedo. They have like at least 3 in there. 2 I'm sure of. They could be a third, but the third one's in front of the building. That's the Longlands. But they have a torpedo where they have the cover off, so you can actually see the incredible complexity. It's basically a small ship engine in a very small tube. It's amazing to see the inside of a torpedo.
It adds a level of danger that's not normally available in Mark's boxes. And Gary, just for the record, I saw Chet Bell mention that he had thrown down the gauntlet, and he wants to play you with a game of Rebel Fury, I think.
Sure, we can do that.
GM by Mark.
That would be cool.
And the loser puts $100 into a favorite charity of the winner. He didn't say that, but I just did. And I'd be happy to supply Chet's and your $100, whoever. We'll just do a charity match.
I've been, when I was living in Washington, I have a very good friend named Rob Kurz, and we would bet on all sorts of stuff. But the way the bet always worked was loser pays $100 to the ACLU. Didn't matter what the bet was. The loser paid the $100 to the ACLU.
So
I
Mark,
think that's hilarious, actually.
So Mark,
everybody's mad at the ACLU from time to time.
By the way, Harold, I plan on reprising my Empire of the Sun. South Pacific simul.
And Orange.
No, not playing. I'm going to do South Pacific in the San Diego again.
Where you play a number
Sounds
of
like we need to
people.
put that on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gary, you could film the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I could do that.
I have to tell you, it exhausts my brain, but I enjoy it.
I would. To be fair, Mark, it exhausts every other person playing's brain too, and they're not playing 25 people at the same time. So
I try to keep it to 8 or less.
So well, regardless, you get my point. So Harold, let's talk, or anybody that wants to talk about the upcoming event in November. Now, is this the weekend after Veterans Day weekend? It's like the 8th through the 11th?
It's the weekend of, well, it's, yes. So Veterans Day is on Monday of that week. The convention is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
And then Thursday night before we'll have a mixer.
Yeah, I'm going to fly out on Monday, but I'll be there Thursday through Sunday, full day.
Excellent.
That is basically my plan as well.
Yeah.
It's a long flight for both Mark and myself.
That's fine.
You know, we've got 5 registrations left, so we've sold out in 2 months in advance of the convention, which is really quite extraordinary, right? And I think just a testament to the good work that everybody's done in putting the con together and attendees and the quality of people we have there. So, you know, we're kind of excited about that, although I don't know what we're going to do the next couple of months. We usually put up a Discord channel, which we will do here in the next couple of weeks, and open it up, and people will get acquainted with each other, and we'll have a few meet and greets and a few events where Mark Herman teaches us something interesting or Kai teaches us something interesting. And then we're all kind of met and we scheduled when we go to the convention.
Are we going to play your big Liberty and Death game again?
We'll probably do that. I'm talking to, I'm working on another game, another monster game, and that's undisclosed, but you'll like it.
I'm sure you'll love it.
So we've got.
Will we see it in November?
The Giant Liberty or Death?
Well, no, the secret project that you're teasing us with.
Yeah, and it's not mine. It's another individual's game that's closely associated with the con, and we're going to blow it up and then have multiple parties play in a competitive fashion.
As I showed before, and we'll be playing. I need 4 tables 6 foot long for this beast over here.
There we go. I saw Pratik was watching. He'll be taking notes.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, so you know, we've got a number of events going on. We run some seminars during the convention, so it's just a blast. And I'm about to reserve a tiki boat in case on Saturday, if people want to go out in the afternoon and have a cocktail and tour the harbor in San Diego, we can walk from the venue to the bay, get on the tiki boat, go out for a couple of hours, and then come back.
That's awesome. I have never been to San Diego before. So I will ask since all 4 of us are going to be there, what will we each be doing? I mean, Kai, do you have plans to what you want to do at SDHist in November yet? Let me ask the question that way.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people that when I was at the Naval War College, we set up plans to play specific games while we're there, since we're all going to be there. I usually get involved in like previewing games that are being presented to GMT. And then some like what Mark and I did at the Naval War College too is I drop in and get a look at how games have developed. So Mark and I got to play his piece of Nikias. Nikias, yeah. And see the changes that he's made while it's been going through development. So I do a lot of that. I'll definitely be hitting Point Loma Seafood, anywhere along there that has good seafood. There's like so many good restaurants in the area.
I'm already hearing about the seafood restaurants in the area, and I am intrigued.
Well, it is San Diego.
Yeah. So that's on my to-do list. I knew that already. So, and
you know, I was one time sitting, I think it was in Kansas City, and we were at a restaurant, and somebody's going, "Oh, you think the shrimper guy goes? Do you see the ocean anywhere near here?"
I don't know if river shrimp is really a delicacy.
Yeah, anywhere. I don't know. You're in the middle of the country. Seafood is not. You know, they didn't raise it around there.
We got an answer in the chat to Jeff's question about an online component. And it sounds like some of the stuff will be there, which is also pretty cool. I mean,
so for both, sorry to interrupt, Gary,
No, go
but
ahead.
for both of the online convention, or for most of the face-to-face conventions, we have a Discord server that's only for attendees. And we just use that as a place to mix and get to know each other. Everybody does an introduction. And as I said, every now and then we have a celebrity like Mark or Kai come and talk about a game or teach something. We have mixers. We have list the games that you're interested in playing, interested in teaching. And so by the time you get to the convention, you feel like you kind of know people. If you didn't know anybody, you would feel like you knew some. And probably have some games scheduled. Then we also have a separate event registration system that works as well. But of course, next year we'll do our two, probably February and June-ish is when we did our last two online conventions. So we'll do those, and those will be inexpensive and accessible to anybody that wants to come.
Okay. So I believe last I checked, there were 4 badges left. So
I suspect by the end of this show there'll be 0.
it's possible.
Mark just bought all 4 and he's marked them up 2x.
Mark will be out front wearing a hat and sunglasses.
No, but I do know my badge number is 123, Harold.
Scalping the
It's a hard one to
tickets.
forget. It's a hard badge number to forget.
That's good.
So that is fantastic. So what else? I mean, we've already heard about a couple of things that Mark's going to do, and your mystery project that's going to be on a table somewhere, and big expanded Liberty or Death. What else is going to be happening? You said there were some seminars and stuff too. What's that all about?
Well, our process is, first of all, we get everybody registered, right? So we'll be done with that this weekend, right? So at that point, we open up the Discord server, and that's when people start to mix. And then later, toward the end of September, beginning of October, we'll start scheduling events. So, people like Kai and Mark are kind enough to run an event or two on games that they like to teach. Maurice is going to run a game. Drew Worley, Cole Worley will be there. They'll do some things, seminars or otherwise. Liz Davidson, Liz Davidson and David Thompson will be there, and they'll run events, and all our whole crew will run events. And those will all be scheduled, and they'll be available for people to play, plus any number of pickups. Every weekday every day during the convention, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we do a coffee. And at the coffee, we just network. And if anybody is stranded for the day, they don't have a game to play, we try to match those people up and get things like that going on. So that'll be fun and good. We do some other silly things like, not silly, but fun. We have a trivia night. Edgar Millick, our wizard of technical items, runs a trivia, and the winning team of the trivia will get a series of prizes. We usually have a dice game. This year it might be Yahtzee, and we'll have a quick Yahtzee tournament, and whoever wins the Yahtzee tournament will win some games, and a whole series of things like that just to help us mix. And then the Thursday night, of course, the Thursday night mixer is at Epic Brewing, which is, once again, 2 blocks from the venue and literally on the harbor. Like, you can touch sailboats if you lean over far enough. And just a blast. So
can you see China from there?
you can see Russia from my patio. So that'll be great. And, there'll be all sorts of other things going on around it. You'll be able to go tour the USS Midway if you want, which is a kind of a post-World War II carrier, but it's also the carrier at the Fall of Saigon, where all the great video of the helicopters being pushed off and the plane landing with the Vietnamese colonel and his wife and child on the carrier. That's all what was on the USS Midway. So lots of good stuff. Plus, San Diego's home to 3 naval bases, and there's some awesome stuff. There may very well be two kind of Nimitz class carriers or presidential class. There's a attack submarine base at the entrance of the harbor, and then there's everything else you can ever imagine. So So, when you like these sorts of toys, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, I would imagine there are probably, for those with the time, which probably does not include me, there'll probably be tours of some of those naval facilities as well, I would imagine, for those interested in such a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It just depends on what you like to do. There's a point we're in Point Loma, but at the end of the point is Cabrillo National Monument. It's a national park, and it has an amazing view of all. You can see all the Navy bases, but you can also see out and you can just watch really cool stuff come in and out of the bay.
It's where the Russian mission is to the United States.
Is it?
Huh.
It was
Okay.
a joke. I always enjoyed when you're driving to Newport. You go over the, you go over the New London Bridge, and to keep all the spies, going to the right place. It says sub base. It's a sign.
I'll tell you what, Jeffrey Paul Jones, we will fully investigate said mystery project, and I will bring you a full report when I'm there in November. How about that? So, chances are pretty good of me talking to a few people while I'm there.
Although if that's my buddy JP, I expect he'll be there.
Exactly. So in any case, let's see here. So,
Summit Award. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Summit Award.
Yeah, let's. I think we thought Dan was gonna be by to talk about that, but let's actually talk about it, because you said you have made some adjustments to the Summit Award this year.
Right. So the Summit Award is an award we do annually that awards the game that helps to broaden the historical gaming hobby. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of it can be by topic, by ease of play, by elegance. There are all sorts of different criteria, but we're really just looking for a cool game that makes people want to play historical games. The first winner 2 years ago was Fred Serval's Red Flag Over Paris. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, this past year, Votes for Women was the winner from Fort Circle Games.
Which is a really amazing package.
Yeah, just a fantastic historical story. Mm-hmm. And so we're starting the process. The way it works is that we go to the public for nominations. So, Gary, I think you've got a link. Theoretically, you have a link that you can share or at least post. And we'll be in social media if you follow SDHist. But what we do is we gather input from the public on what games you think qualify under those loose terms. And we then take all of that input, and whichever game is suggested the most is the game that is one of the four nominees and finalists. So the public forces one of the four finalists in. Mm-hmm. And I Napoleon, I think, is a 24 game. So this game will have to be calendar year 2023. So
I just got it, but it actually came out several months. But no, it was 2024.
Yeah,
Ted did a very interesting job. It's very cool.
Yeah. So Commando Solo, you're 1 year ahead of us, but maybe next year you can nominate that. By the way, if you nominate a game on that list within the appointed time frame, which is just a couple of weeks, then we'll randomly select one person there to win a GMT game. Thanks again, Kai and GMT.
Awesome. And I have put the link in the chat so folks can check that out, regardless of whether you're on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook.
That's excellent, and it's also in social media on our feed if you want. But so that's the first piece, and then we get the board of advisors and board of directors together, and we just talk about what other games should we introduce, and we come up with 4 finalists. Then during the SDHist event, we'll have each of those 4 available for play. And if anybody from the public wants to come up and talk about it, look at it, play it, we'll help, and we'll arrange that. And then once the convention's over, the board and the board of advisors will get together and then make a decision which game wins. Mm-hmm. And it's not always a popularity contest. It's not the one that sold the most games. But we like to bring attention to all 4 of those games, regardless of who wins. Mm-hmm.
Although I will point out that I want to say that both Red Flag Over Paris and Votes for Women did sell out. So yes. It's not like these are neither game is exceptionally obscure.
Yeah, and
quality games sell.
We keep telling ourselves that this isn't about the game that sells the most, right? these two are examples of that, but that's not necessarily the condition of success.
Right.
But we've added something this year. As many of you know, we lost our good friend Bobby Nunez to cancer this year, and Gary, I know you reported on that. And Bobby brought a wonderful energy to the hobby and to everything he did with us. He was just full of energy and fellowship, and he was very interested in the culture of gaming. And you see a lot of his work in what we do. He was it played a big role in what SDHist is today. But he also designed the first e-zine for SDHist, which is Conflicts of Interest, which is available on our website. And so we're going to create an award that is a memorial award for Bobby Nunez. And we're looking for a piece of media, right? So it can be in print, it can be a podcast, it can be video, it can be anything, either in sequence or in one particular episode or piece that really reflects what was in Bobby's heart. And so that's the second piece that we've added to the Summit Award. And so it's a separate award, and we're looking for ideas, and the board is going to gather it and think about it. But there's so much great media broadly defined in our hobby, Gary, as you know, and as you provide us with so much that we just think
on an intermittent basis.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
I know that you probably feel that you're behind on what you want to accomplish, but hell, you get a lot done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you haven't seen my editing video queue, which is now like,
well, that's what I'm
17
saying.
deep.
You feel a pressure that I don't see.
I got 3 shrink wrap games sitting on the table waiting for me to film unboxing videos of them.
So this is the third show I've been on yours this week.
That's true. That's true.
It's been a slow week.
So maybe that's what the rash came from, actually.
Oh yeah.
It's the tyranny of scheduled content, right?
I don't know if you saw it last night, but I was heckling Gino last night.
I am aware. It was noticed. You weren't the only one. No, it was all in good fun, though.
It was. And
So
by the way, I learned something I never knew before. I didn't know that Kai is America's anti-piracy czar. I did not know that.
Now Wargaming has an anti-piracy czar, which is
I'm impressed.
Kind of awesome. I think we all have to agree.
I have done many things in my life and definitely didn't do that. What are you holding? You're showing its motive.
Is that the Chinese edition?
Yeah, this is the Chinese friend sent me this. Chinese cards for Flashpoint.
Now, is this was there like a government process that one has to go through to get one's product released in the Chinese market?
Not that we were made aware of.
Okay. So this is an underground Chinese translation.
I gotta tell you, things have changed because back when I was doing Victory, I contacted the Chinese, remember I was in New York, so I contacted the Chinese mission, the embassies in Washington. And I was trying to explain to this woman that I wanted to see if I could sell Victory games in China. And she was like insulted that we would want to sell anything to China. Why would they want it? I remember and apparently they've changed their mind. But it was the most rude conversation I ever had with somebody. Like you dumb American, why would we want your crap? It was basically what she said.
Hey, Gary, let me finish real quick with the Bobby Award. I want to make it clear, it's not for a person or a show. It is for actual output, right? So it's a series of interest. It's an episode of interest. It's that sort of thing. A written piece of work, a blog entry of interest, that sort of thing.
That makes sense to me. And I have, as we've talked about before, the CSR awards felt like that was an area of recognition that we were not equipped to handle at the time. So, but at the same time, we all still agree that it is something that's worthy of examination and recognition. And I personally am delighted to hear that this will happen and that it will honor Bobby as well.
Thanks, and that's our intent to honor a guy that we love very much and miss, and had a big influence on our organization. And I think this we really have no competitive feel for any of these awards. I'm sure you feel the same, Gary. That we have plenty of room for awards, less award games for all sorts of reasons, and quantity.
Said that from day one. And everybody that's like involved is on this exactly the same page. We're all mutually supporting each other as far as all of us are concerned. The Historical Games Award folks felt exactly the same way about it.
Good.
So, all right. So what is SDHist's future look like, Harold? I know you probably planning another 2 physical conventions next year, but beyond that, what's going on?
Well, let's talk a little bit about physical conventions, and then I'll let you go. We've talked about doing a pop-up for a long time, and the War College was in effect a pop-up, right? It was an opportunity. We went and did the convention, and now we're repeating it. But I've always wanted to do something interesting in a place like Shiloh or Gettysburg or who knows, right? So we're still looking for that opportunity. The hardest thing to do is to find a venue that will accommodate us at a cost that's reasonable given what we do. That's often hard to do, but I think that is going to be on our radar and will continue to be. In 2026, we have the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the Age of Reason's near and dear to my heart, and I think. This should be, and Mark Miklos will tell me it's my responsibility to do this, but we should do something, and so we're trying to find a venue during 26 that is remarkable to the American Revolution, and so we're working.
It has to be Philadelphia then.
Well, yeah, help me find a venue, and I'm in.
I mean, we'll talk. We should talk. I mean, I used to row in Philadelphia every year. But it's been a long time.
Water's not good for our games, Mark.
No, I as Kai
can verify.
Yeah, and as Kai got me extra maps for Rebel Fury when the rain came in. Yes, she knows it too.
Gettysburg seems to be expensive. There's actually a couple of wargaming events that do happen there already, and I looked into the hotel costs, and they were absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
So
certainly in July.
That is going to be, and that's really the thing. I mean, if you think Gettysburg was absurd, Newport makes it look like a joke. It's just, you're going to Newport at when the Vanderbilts used to go, right? So it's the best of the time to go to the place.
Newport's very expensive.
Yeah,
more so than San Diego.
Just so you know, Harold, in Philadelphia, because of where they used to house us, the best thing you're going to find from a cheap venue is good. Remember the universities in the summertime don't have students in them. So you might want to talk to UPenn or that kind of place would have because I've lectured at UPenn and they've got it's a big university, got lots of halls, lots of places. Yeah,
I've lectured there too, and I don't like that neighborhood. But
then Gen Con used to do that too.
Well, I'm from New York, so it didn't bother me, but I would say, though, there are other schools in Philadelphia. So I'm just saying, looking at colleges may be the only venue that wouldn't be charging an arm and a leg given the time of the year.
Right. Well, as I said, that's the hardest thing we do. And anybody that does conventions is the venue, arranging the venue. So if anybody has an idea for a venue and wants to help us search and negotiate and talk to the venue, then I'm all ears. And I think we've got Philadelphia, we've got Boston, we've got Colonial Williamsburg and Yorktown, we've got Saratoga. And it doesn't have to be huge. It just needs to be fun and interesting and an access, right? Where we can go tour the battlefield, tour the site, then come back and play games in that context for a day or two. So Gary, that's one thing. There's a number of other things we're working on, including adding a few advisory board members. But we've got some other things we're working on that we'll talk more about in the near future. But Summit Award and November Con are the big next 2 steps.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, both events sound like they're absolutely dynamite. Everybody I've talked to that's been out to San Diego says, San Diego is fabulous, and the convention is also fabulous. My dad, who used to fly in and out of San Diego on a regular basis, always used to tell me that it's the best weather in the entire country.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, no, I lived in Houston after I graduated from college, and
That's the worst weather. In the United
that's
States.
terrible weather.
yeah, the
in
weather was
Houston.
repressive. It was a wonderful environment for for business, and
It's a lovely place, except for the weather, which sucks.
Well, I mean, that was true, and I'd go to Denver or San Diego on vacation, and my wife and I always said, you know what, if we ever had the chance, that those are places we'd like to live. And then, it's sort of things fell into place, and it's an amazing place. And the other great thing about this area is, since we're there in November and it's off season, it's Point Loma for the San Diego convention, it's just very affordable hotels. So
It's off season, right?
Yeah.
That's great, actually. That's what our previous event in February took advantage of, was a resort town where it's off season and we got the whole place to ourselves.
Well, that's why the WBC is where it is, because they could get a long-term contract at a ski resort where there's no snow. I mean, it's not that complicated.
This sounds fantastic, by the way.
That's Maryland.
There are a lot of these little pop-up events, though, right? I mean, this happens more often than people think. The last couple of years, something's happened in Gettysburg in July when it's expensive. There's a couple other ones as well. So this is, not. And Ken Lee is kind of the main driving force behind the GCACW tournament scene, if you don't know. So that all sounds fantastic. Well, here. Does anybody have anything to add about how awesome the November event will be before we wrap it up here?
If you haven't bought your ticket, do it now.
There's 4 left last I checked, which was a little bit ago.
A badge 1, 2, 3 is taken, by the way, in case anybody's checking.
It is taken, but you're always going to be number one in our opinion.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Give me a break.
So anyway, I feel a little bit like Dan tonight. In any case,
boy, I'm sorry about that.
At least Dan doesn't have this ridiculous rash. Anyway, everybody can see
Dan
it on
probably
camera.
feels very good from time to time. Gary, great to
great.
hang with you. We appreciate you taking the time to spend with us.
Harold, I appreciate the invitation, and Mark and Kai, thanks so much for joining us as well. Hopefully, we'll see some of you out in November.
So, Harold, now that I show up on the show, you're going to release the hostage, right?
Yes. Yes.
There might have been a hostage situation, hypothetically. But I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Hopefully we'll see some of you out at the event in November in San Diego. And if not, then I am pretty confident, Harold, that we'll probably get together and talk about this at least once before it happens anyway.
Yes.
So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching and have a fabulous night.